Yes, yes. Okay, awesome. All right. So it's really kind of fun. This is going to be a fun experiment because you guys have some very funny things in common. Both of you are with very, very old direct sales companies. One of you is with Amway, the other of you is with Tupperware. You're both Cheryl's. You have all sorts of fun things in common. So it's going to be a really fun time. Okay. Now, Cheryl, California, she watched the recording, and so she went through her motivational styles. Now, and you guys both got the great big workbook, right? 80 pages of craziness. You didn't get the workbook? It, it, Cheryl, California, it was with the email that you got the link. There is a great book workbook in there. It's going to look like first page looks like this. Cheryl, Oregon, Sherry, you got this one? Give me thumbs up or yeses. Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. All right. Could you both email me, write yourself a note, email me your physical addresses, please? And maybe I'll get this printed out for you and sent to you. All of the 12 weeks are in this big old document. Okay? This thing is fun. I'll reprint it since this. Okay. All right. There's a couple things I want to go over with you before we get into high mode on the assignments. Okay. First of all, did either of you fill out your trackers? Did any of you set success habits? Right? This thing? Did either of you work on this? I need a nod, yes or no. No. Cheryl, California, did you fill this in? This is what I texted you about. Did you do this? Yes, you did. Okay. Can you type down in the bottom the items, the goals that you set up here for yourself? Okay. All right. So on, I think it's about page 2 of the workbook, it's going to look just a little bit different than this. But I want you keeping track of your points from each week. And there's going to be like awards at the end of the class. Okay. And the way that you get points is from this tracker. This is where your points come from. Okay. You pick your actions. You decide how many days a week you're going to do them, or you decide how many contacts you're going to make. If that's 10, you can do 5 on one day, 2 on one day, and 3 another. Okay. But it's got to be a habit that can be quantified. And then you end up with a percentage. You put how many you did, total up your target, total up your actual, divide them, and your percentage is your points. So the highest possible weekly points is 100. I guess if you go above and beyond, your goal is to do 10 contacts and you get 20 contacts, and I guess you can get higher than 100%. Okay. There's, if you do it, when your goal was 5 days a week and you do it 6 days a week, I guess technically you can get more than 100%. But whatever your percentage is, that's what you're going to put in your weekly points. And here, this is for your assignments when you email them to me. Okay. So Cheryl, California, you emailed me your answers on your 3 motivational styles. So you'd be kind of have a half assignment done. Okay. Where Cheryl, Oregon, I didn't see an email from you, girlfriend. Okay. So, and all the assignments are at the bottom. You'll have a lesson number, and at the bottom of it, there's an assignment to everyone. Every single week, you should be emailing me something. It'll be different every week. Okay? You will get the most out of this class if you email it within 48 hours, because then you have 5 more days to work on it. If you don't do it until the night before the class, you're not going to get as much out of it. Agreed? Okay. So, and then the other thing is I want to make sure that you're taking notes and you're asking questions and all those kind of things. Okay. So those are some important things to remember. So let's go over the assignments just really quick. Okay. So because I have a tracker out, we'll start with that. Remember that reviewing your goals, which right now your only goals are your bucket list goals. Did you start a bucket list, Cheryl, California? Yep. How many things are on it? 7? Yeah. Get it up to 50, girlfriend. Keep going. Dream big. Cheryl, Oregon, how many do you have on yours? 10? Yeah. Keep going. Nowhere close. Okay. Keep going. I want you to at least, one of the sheets in your workbook, which this one isn't printed really well, this has at least 30 in this column, okay? That one at least needs to be filled, plus then some, okay? All right, and it's an open-ended list. You're gonna continue to add to it for hopefully your whole life, okay? Not till the end of this class or till the end of the year, or till the end of whatever. This is an ongoing thing, okay? This keeps you fueled, this keeps you motivated, this keep you wanting to do stuff, okay? So that's the first thing. All right. So you need to be reviewing your goals. It's upside down. Okay. Reviewing your goals daily and doing your daily inspiration. Have each of you picked something that will be your daily inspiration, something to be reading. Yep. Cheryl, Oregon, yes. Cheryl, California, do you have a book? Okay. And my best suggestion is that you do a certain percentage of time on product knowledge and a certain percentage of time on self-improvement, sales, positive mindset, something like that. Okay. You need to love your product and, have creative ideas, whether it's a different recipe or a different way to use a product that you have, or, those things are always fun to study, and it keeps us fueled because that's usually why you're selling it, is because you're really passionate about the product. But then you have to know how to sell it or it won't do you much good, okay? Some people product knowledge themselves to death without any good business skills, and then they're just like, it still kind of flops, okay? So I usually recommend both, but you've got to get that daily inspiration, something. I love things where you're hearing people overcome hard things, okay? Books like, well, there's How to Win Friends and Influence People, there's Power of Positive Thinking, there's Success Principles by Jack Canfield. There's lots of little stories in there of people overcoming things that are hard. And that's what you need to keep your heart and your mind around, is that you can do this hard thing. It is hard. It's not impossible. It's hard. And it's different. And it's out of your comfort zone. And you don't have the habits that you want for it. And that's what you're trying to create. All right. And so hearing other people's successes is an amazing way to keep you going. So you probably also have like a company newsletter, and you can read about their successes. Right? They're usually telling you about somebody else who's done it to help you remember you can do it too. But keep those stories coming. And it also, the other thing it does is keep those creative juices of what can I do different, or what can I do that's positive? What can I do that's a little bit different? What can I do that they did, but that doesn't quite work for me or my area or my clientele? What can I do to tweak it? Having those creative juices and being able to tweak things and think outside the box is an incredible gift to give yourself. That happens to be one of my strengths, is being able to problem solve and think outside the box and be creative about how to do things. I learned how to ask questions in my business. And for example, one of the things I got good at was figuring out how to ask questions in a booth in an expo setting. So that's a class I created. That's where Cheryl Oregon and I met, was on that class that I taught. Okay. Taking those things that you're good at and figuring out how to maximize them. Okay. So you really need lots of fuel to keep those juices going, because we're all going to have times we kind of hit a block or hit a wall. Okay. And it's just, the wall may not be as thick as you think it is, or there might be a way around it, but you've got to be able to think, okay, how am I going to get through this one? And keep moving forward. Okay, if somebody else did it, so can I. What am I going to do next? I need you to be able to do that versus, and want to crawl in bed and not do it. Okay, so you got to keep fueling yourself with that kind of motivation. All right, so then you can pick up to, you don't need to do 4, but you can pick up to 4 more activities. And those can be both personal goals and business goals, because it's also good to be balanced. So you don't need to be focused 100% on business to be successful. That's not necessary. It's more important to work smart than it is to only work hard, okay? But the key is, sometimes when we have our own businesses and we work from home, sometimes the problem is we don't work as many hours, or we forget to schedule in our work. So it's scheduling it in and scheduling it smart, okay? Because some people can claim to be busy all day on their businesses and actually never do anything that's income producing. So you can look busy and not actually work too, okay? So we got to find this like happy medium, okay? This working deliberately, working smart when we work, and still staying balanced. So I need you to think about, and we're going to get really specific about the particular activities you need for your business goals, but we're not going to set business goals quite yet, because we need to get you motivated. We need to get you figuring out what your whys are. We need to just start getting you in some habits. We need to get you more hopeful and more excited. And then when I go, okay, now what are your business goals? You'll be able to say them. Right now, when you're feeling kind of stuck, both of you are stuck for different reasons and in different ways, and you haven't accomplished what you've wanted to in the last month or year or so. And I know there's like this doubt, can I actually do this? Okay. Like, I've wanted this for a long time, haven't done it yet, or maybe you got close but didn't quite get there to a certain goal you wanted. Can I actually do this? Anybody thinking that? Okay. That's where we need to get. We need to increase that hope and that excitement of, I think I actually can do this, so that you're actually able to kind of pull off some of that fear and tell me what your real goals are. Like Cheryl Oregon, you can tell me how much money you want to make, but then when I ask you exactly what you're going to do with that, it's kind of this little kind of vague, bring my husband home. Like, it's not very like, we're going to spend this much money on this, and then we're going to use this much money, we're going to cruise, or we're going to see grandkids. I mean, like, you don't have like a defined, and this is how much I'm willing to do a week. You're like, well, I do have lots of free hours, but like, you're not very, and you're going to get there though. Okay. But until we break down some of the fear and get the hope up, like, you're not going to care what I tell you to do. Okay. And I'm even going to tell you what's funny, and you can ask Elizabeth this, because we just had this discussion, because she's like halfway through the class. Elizabeth is Cheryl California's daughter, who's one of my clients. This is what will happen. Sometimes we get team members, and because in a couple weeks, you're going to learn some really good skills, and they work awesome. Like, Elizabeth's having really good success with her business because she's applying those skills and she's more hopeful. But then all of a sudden, you'll start telling your team members the skills, hoping that you don't have to go through all the pain of overcoming their fears and helping them set their goals, okay? You have to do it in the same order, okay? So it's just kind of a little warning, like something I keep forgetting to tell people. You're going to learn these skills and you're going to get really excited about them because they work and you're more hopeful and you're more excited. And your team members, either you need to come let them work with me and help them do it in the same order you did it, or you've got to learn how to do that and start the same place. Start with a bucket list, start with daily inspiration, help them emotionally get prepared for new business tools. And the new business tools actually will make you feel a lot more authentic, and you'll feel less pushy and less like a salesperson, and it's a lot more fun and you have more success at the same time. It's really kind of like this really cool win-win situation, but it's still change. Okay. Even though, like, I'll teach you how to ask 3 questions before you start talking about your product, and you'll laugh, Cheryl, California, because your daughter's like, well, I can ask 2 questions. I'm like, okay, but you still are going to come off like a salesperson because you're not asking enough questions, whereas you're going to come off more authentic. And now that she's asking more questions, she's like, oh my gosh, now I'm signing people up because I learned more about them. She went from the being a hostess to now they are a recruit. So all because she actually asked 3 questions too. And even though she feels more authentic asking the 3, for some reason it was scary getting there. It's just because it's not part of your habits and it's out of your comfort zone. Does that make sense? You're really going to like the techniques I teach you because you feel much more real. But because you're not doing that right now, it's still different. It's just like when you want to start getting up early to exercise, you're glad you exercise, but it's still hard to get up early. Okay? So no matter how positive it is, it's still painful at first. But then you learn to love it, which is why Elizabeth's so excited, right? Because she's like, oh, okay. It's like clicking. Yep. Okay. So, but it's a process. So you just got to understand when you get excited about it, if you're going to do that with your team members, you got to do the same process, because where they're starting at is where you're at now. And you have to remember that. They're kind of at a stuck place. Okay. All right. So you need to come up with some very specific things. A lot of people will have like exercise because they know that makes them feel better on there. A lot of people have contact so many people, book so many parties, post so many times on Facebook. There's all sorts of different things that you can do. Okay. Right now, you just kind of get to pick them. When we get down to your specific business goals, like you want to have so many parties booked, if you know it takes you 3 phone calls to book 1 party and you want to book 4 parties, well, then we're going to have those numbers. You're going to have to make 12 phone calls to get your 4 parties booked. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we're going to get really specific. For right now, the whole goal is just to use the tracker every day. So this little thing needs to go next to your bed, and you need to set yourself an alarm for about 20 minutes before you go to bed. Remind yourself to do this. And you're also free to text me and go, Michelle, I filled in my tracker. Okay. The sound on my phone is off 90% of the time. So if you text me at 3 in the morning, I don't care because I won't hear it. I don't turn on the sound. Okay. My clients are free to text me anytime, especially when it comes to their tracker and when they're trying to establish their habits. You can ask Elizabeth. She messages me in like 16 different ways that there are on silly phones. Okay. I won't necessarily always get back to you first thing, but I do get back to you, and it's accountability. Okay. So feel free at night after you filled in your tracker to send me a quick text and let me know you did it, because that's the whole goal, is that we're helping you establish good business habits. Because 90% of what we do in our life is out of habit. It's not intelligence. It's not ability. It's not work ethic. Like, people are so hard on themselves. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? What am I doing? So lazy. No. That wasn't a habit. You wake up Monday morning, you go about your day, you start doing your same thing, and because you haven't scheduled in work time, that's why you're not doing it. It has nothing to do with your abilities or your strengths or anything. It has to do with, it's not your habit. Okay, so no beating yourself up, but when you realize you haven't accomplished what you want, that's when you got to go, oh, right, I got to set an alarm on my phone. I thought I was going to do this Tuesday without thinking about it too much, but I didn't get it done. So I set really loud, obnoxious alarms on my phone to remind me this is my time to do XYZ. Okay, does that make sense? Like, there's no beating yourself up in this class. Like, I don't know. It's a complete waste of negative energy, and we don't have time for that. We only have time for problem solving and, okay, this didn't happen the way I wanted to. Okay, what are you going to do instead? That's the only thing I want to talk about. If we need to talk about maybe why you're sabotaging yourself, and we will talk about fears, and we will totally talk about, I mean, I hear all sorts of interesting stories from people of things that happen growing up, and it helps them understand their attitude towards sales or talking to people. Or, I mean, I have a gentleman right now, bless his heart, he was told growing up that having goals was not Christ-like, and you just took whatever God gave you, and you didn't ask for things, and setting goals was not like a Christian thing to do. I'm like, well, that would screw you up, right? Okay, and here that's like my whole message is setting goals. Whoa, okay, like he's not moving as fast as Elizabeth because he's got a little more junk to get through. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm fine with talking about why if it means we're getting down to the gut of what's keeping you from propelling yourself. Like, you know, they'll have these weird thoughts. Like another one of my clients, she had a situation where she's like, she would put ads on Facebook. It was a weight loss product, and she would sell to people on the East Coast. She lived here in Washington. But she wouldn't like sell to her neighbor or her friend who was like, you've lost so much weight. What are you doing? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Why don't you sell to your neighbor? And it finally came down to when she was a little girl, it was her mom's birthday. She'd taken her favorite toys, gone out on the front step, had them set up trying to sell them so she had money to buy her mom a gift for her birthday. And her dad came home and said, no, we don't sell to our friends. If you're done with those toys, we just donate them. You don't try to sell your old toys to people. Okay? And she was told you don't sell to your friends. Oh, that's been playing in her brain for 40 whatever years. Okay? So those are some things, and then we have to like talk it through and get rational, and now she actually can sell to her friends. It's really kind of exciting. She got over that hump. Okay? And she's never been able to get over that. And here she finally did. So that's the only kind of whys that we'll talk about. If there's something, you know, I'll be like, okay, tell me what the thought is that comes in. You know, we've talked about doing this activity for 3 weeks. You still haven't done it the way that you really want to. What are the things that you're saying to yourself? And we got to figure out kind of what that dialogue is that's keeping you from going forward. And that's the kind of things that we'll talk about, but not just the why, well, I sat and watched Dancing with the Stars instead of getting on the phone. Okay? I don't really care. Okay? Like, if you know you did that, okay, what are you going to do next week? Oh, I'm going to get on the phone and watch it recorded on ABC. Okay, great. Next. Okay? You see what I'm saying? There's no guilt. It's all about figuring out how to move forward. That's the goal every week. How are we going to move more forward to what you want to accomplish? Okay? Y'all with me? Okay. All right. I mean, I'll give you a bad time now and then. Elizabeth, you can ask her. I kind of tease her a little bit, but she's fun to tease. She's got a good sense of humor. Okay. Let me think what else was on the list. I need to hear back from Cheryl Oregon, your 3 motivational styles. You did a really good job explaining your motivational styles. And Cheryl, California, did you learn why saying only a title and money wasn't working for you? Like, you kind of wrote it out in that paragraph. Like, I could see your brain going, oh, that's why this doesn't work for me, right? Because you're a change the world girl. Like, isn't that cool to like, kind of an aha moment? Did you have a light bulb moment? Yeah? Okay. So that's a funny thing. I can take someone who's driven by a title and someone who's driven by change the world, and I can get them to the same place. I just can't talk about the same thing. Okay. This person, okay, how far are you on that title? Let's go. Okay, how many more people you got to go? This person, okay, how many people have you helped? How many people are coming to your meetings? You know, what kind of things are they doing? We talk about them and their numbers, okay? And it's just knowledge. It's just exciting because, like, you better understand yourself. You can motivate yourself better now, okay? Doing things in a group, Cheryl, California. So you have to kind of get creative about how you're going to do that. You can even start having Zoom calls like this. You could start a mastermind group with even other people who they don't have to sell all the same thing. And here you have a group to report to too. So it's just a matter, and see me, I'm a work alone person. I'm not a working group, so I help everybody else and don't get my own stuff done. It does not motivate. It doesn't motivate my own goals. Like, I'm happy to help other people, but okay, so, but it's good to understand those things. So when you have a team member who's not motivated by group stuff, don't feel bad when they don't show up to team stuff. Give her a little one-on-one time and be happy with that. Don't take it personal. Okay? All right. Work on a journal that records all of the miracles that happen as you're going along. Okay? Because you'll have lots of cool things that happen. So be sure and be recording those. Okay? Any other questions about week 1? Is the goal setting exciting? Do you see why it's power? Yep. Okay. Awesome. All right. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go on to week 2, and this is all about asking questions. And so technically, neither of you are really looking at the agenda, right? You don't have it printed out in front of you. No. Okay. All right. So at the top of each of these sheets, each week before we get started, and you have access to all these in front of you, this little box up here says, what was my percentage? What went well, and what do I want to do different? It's so important that you start accounting to yourself and thinking these things through, okay? Because okay, let me explain this to you. There's a study that I read, and it's called knowledge of results. When you have a knowledge of results, and that's why you also want to fill in this sheet right here, okay? When you can see what you've accomplished, okay, has anybody, well, you don't have to admit if you've done Weight Watchers, but does anybody know what Weight Watchers is? You write down your food, you have your points, you know, keep track of how much you've lost, okay? That's a like major example of knowledge of results, okay? Knowledge of results and your successes and what you did to accomplish X is a huge factor to helping you be successful. Okay? It's really, really, really important. And if you're not keeping track of that, you may be going along a couple weeks and you go, dang, why haven't I accomplished anything? I felt busy. I felt like I was doing something. But you can kind of like, oh no, you know, why am I not getting where I want to? Am I frozen? Can you hear me okay? Is it better? Is it smoother now? I think there was a break. Can everybody hear me now? Give me a thumbs up if it's smooth again. I'm frozen with sound. Okay, but you can hear me? Can you hear me, Cheryl, California? Yeah? Okay. All right. So there's a couple examples. When somebody who has like an assembly line business, you know, like cars or furniture or something like this, they can put a big thing up on the wall and show, okay, last night you assembled this many cars, or last night, you know, this shift assembled this many chairs. And if they have a sign up on the wall and they can see their progression, they're likely to keep working more and more effectively. You take it back down, they go back to where they were. There's this incredible power with keeping track of what you've done in the past to keep propelling yourself to work smarter and harder. Okay? So it's so important that you're doing these assignments, that you're tracking what you've done, that you understand what got you the success. So if you have a little lull or you kind of get off your habits, you know exactly what to go back to and do. That's the thing with Weight Watchers. People go, okay, I know that when I got up and I had my oatmeal, and I took my walk, and I ate my half a sandwich, and I ate this at night, that's what lost me weight. And then go back to that. Okay? So these things are so important to do. And it's important that when you've had a couple weeks of success, that you don't take it for granted and quit writing it down. That's when somebody will quit losing weight because they quit writing down what they were eating and they have a little cheat here and there, or didn't make as many phone calls, or you see what I'm saying? Like, don't ever take it for granted. Just get in the habit and be consistent about recording what you're doing, so that it's the fuel. Okay, you don't put the fuel in, it doesn't go as smooth. Okay, so we are going to talk about asking questions. Asking questions is my goal setting is one of my expertise, and asking questions is my other expertise. The whole goal with asking questions is that you find out what they need before you ever talk about your product. That you know exactly what it is that they're going to want and need before you start talking, so that you are 90% certain you're going to have a sale, because you know that what you have is exactly what will match to what they're needing. When we start talking at people, so let me tell you, this is what we're trying to avoid. Who of you stayed up late at night and watched the little infomercials with the really cool kitchen gadget that by the end of the commercial, it is going to save you money, make you skinny, save your marriage, and you're going to be happier than you've ever been in your life? Like, y'all watch those, right? Okay. By the end, boy, they have you convinced that your life is going to be totally different because you bought that chicken roaster. Okay, right? My son was kind of a late night owl, and he'd watch those with me sometimes, and he's hysterical. Mom, we gotta get that. And he was just little, and he has an auditory delay, so he didn't have a lot of words, but oh my gosh, he just thought it was the coolest thing ever, right? They can convince anyone at any age. And so I call it infomercialing. You are not on television and you're face to face with someone and they can respond to you, and you're not going to just tell them 16 different reasons they want that, that new Tupperware bowl or that new product Amway came out with, okay? No infomercialing. You're not on TV and you're with a human being face to face, all right? As much as that is sort of effective in convincing people, the thing is, how many people get that kitchen gadget and it sits on their counter and it's not a habit to use it? And a lot of people buy it and never use it. Okay? And this is the thing. If you play the infomercial game, which you can do and sell, okay, do you understand me? If you want to go do it that way, and I give Elizabeth, that's not how we do the pepper chef anymore, because they'll tell you 16 different ways to use that cool chopper, right? Okay, you can chop this, you can chop that, like you do nuts, you can do onions, you can do this, you won't be crying today, right? 16 different ways to use a chopper. I'm like, but the thing is, if they buy it and don't use it just because it was exciting, you don't have repeat business and you don't have referral business. Okay, so let me tell you my experience. My first direct sales company was scrapbooking supplies. Love scrapbooking. Scrapbook my kids. My two youngest kids are so sad because they don't have books. My oldest two do, because that was my life in their time. So I left scrapbooks for those two. So I was selling scrapbook supplies, and I could go in and I could show them a cool tool. I could show them cute paper. I could show them all sorts of really, really cool stuff. And I could get people excited about scrapbooking, okay? Or card making, or whatever it might be. I could get you excited. I could infomercial the heck out of that product, okay? Can you hear me now, Cheryl? Broken, not broken, smooth. Am I smooth now? We good? Still breaking? Hello, hello, hello. Tell me when it's smooth. Give me a thumbs up when it's smooth again. Am I smooth yet? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Are we smooth yet? Are you good?